Hello. After some thinking, I came to the conclusion it might be interesting to document my process when it comes to creating logos. In this case, I'm working on the logo of a life coaching company called Damgaard Coaching. Very recommendable. I'm using them myself at the moment. And after having talked with the client about what they were thinking about and what kind of symbols they want to use, we came to the conclusion that he wanted to use something like something very stable, something that's moving at the same time, something that is set in stone, and we came to the symbolism of a mountain or the ocean. Maybe a tree was a thought as well. And what you can see here now is just my process of kind of getting to know the symbols and playing around a little bit. There's nothing definite here. You can see that a lot of it is very rough and the edges are not fine at all, and here's actually a good example of how I do those little sketches and just cover parts of it with white boxes and stuff. It's really just the process of finding shapes and playing around with shapes in order to get to a way of showing the symbol in a way that works as a logo. And here I actually thought I was onto something. What originated as a normal wave all of a sudden became a wave and a mountain in the background. Here is the attempt with the tree. The client actually gave me the instruction that, actually the imagery of a tree and its roots, as you can see it here. But we were pretty much on par that it was not exactly what he was looking for. Another idea was to play around with the D and C of Damgaard Coaching. And that's kind of what I'm fading into here. Another thing mentioned was those traditional paintings, traditional Japanese paintings of waves. They're very popular, and since the client's technique also involves Asian techniques, it was interesting to implement this into the symbolism of the logo. Actually, the very first version that you can see in the first layer in the very beginning of the video is based on a different style of Japanese wave painting or drawing. Wasn't actually what we were going for, but I wanted to experiment with it anyway because it was very simple, and the waves that he wanted originally were actually very detailed, which is usually not very good for a logo. Here you have the monogram D and C playing, also including the astronomical sign for the Earth, which is also moving but in a way kind of stable. The entire process of creating this logo took about 10 hours, I would say. didn't only include the designing itself, but it also included the conversations with the client via Skype, and also the research that we did up front about what other companies in the same business do usually, which is usually not a mountain or waves. It's usually very humanoid figures or plants, flowers for that matter, usually very esoteric, and in this case the client wanted to have something that goes quite the opposite way actually. And personally I think that is a good idea because it distinguishes him a little bit from the rest. Another thing we did was work on the symbolism a little bit. He gave us a lot of words to work with, mainly adjectives, and based on those adjectives we created a cloud of words, a word cloud that kind of brought us to the symbolism we're working at in the end. We tried to go for more detailed symbols because mountains and ocean seems a little bit general, but I think in the end it actually turned out really nice. And you can see that at this point we've already decided for one of the designs from the experimental phase, and now we continue working with this, but we're far from done. Yellow is the color that Damgaard Coaching wants to present itself with in combination with gray. And so even also with the colors there's a lot of experimenting going on, and you can see we're playing around there with the font already, just to give the client a little bit of an image of what the logo will look like when it's finished. You can find this life coach if you search for, if you type in damgaardcoaching.com, by the way. I can recommend them very highly. As I said before, I'm using them myself now, their services. And they're really good at showing you a little different perspectives and actually not leading the way, but asking the right questions for you to figure the stuff out yourself. Realize that it's not them who know your business or your life, but that you know your life best, and therefore you're the one who has the answers somewhere, but you just need to find them. And I think they're doing a pretty good job at that. Here are a couple of different versions of the original logo idea. And you can see that we're actually going quite off track from the original idea in a second. Just to make it a little more clear that it's a mountain and waves, and maybe not a banana and a mountain. In general, we try to not have too many details in the logos that we make, mainly because a logo has to be able to be pictured very small, as in like the little symbol that you see in your browser tabs when you're on a website, for example. And you should still be able to recognize it. You should still be able to recognize that, but at the same time, it should be unique, and obviously you should see what it stands for. A good way of doing that is by working with very geometrical concepts, as we do here as well. Originally we wanted to use only the same circle size for all of the shapes that you have here. But as you can see now, the client wanted to have the mountain a little bit less steep, so we had to use bigger circles for that as well. And here you can see that we turned around the wave lines. Just to figure out if it gives you a different feel for the wave, and that it's supposed to be a wave. And we're actually getting to the final version here. A little last checkup and fixing the font. And this is the entire process of creating a new logo. Well, the visual one anyway. If you need a logo design, hop over to movingrobin.com. We're happy to talk to you. And yeah, see you soon. Hope you enjoyed this.
Dancing.